Okay, what's up, everybody? Rev Sauce 9. Make sure to rate, like, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're on my other video platforms, make sure to like, comment, and give some feedback. I would appreciate that, and be following. That would be great. Let's get into talking about AEW from last night. Look, I had a long recording last night, and for some reason it got deleted. I have no idea what happened on my phone. I recorded a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of videos. Now I'm having to retake this stuff. I'm going to tell you what I told in that video last night that I recorded that's now gone and deleted into the ether. I did say I did like the go-home show for AEW. I did enjoy it. We're back better than ever doing videos. I'm going to try to. I'm going to do SmackDown, Saturday night's main event, Collision tonight. I got a lot of stuff going on. But, in between moving, you guys know. But yeah, the show was good. I did not mind the show. I was a little disappointed with Okada's promo leading up to Speedball and him going at each other for the Continental Belt. The Continental Belt's been non-existing. People are saying they may merge it with the All-Atlantic Belt, which I think would be a stupid move to do. Kenny Omega versus Okada, which I think would be ridiculous. Okada needs to cut better promos, personally. He needs to speak better English. I don't know if that's how AEW is presenting him, but I'm getting tired of these promos. Okada can speak perfect English. He just sounds like another Shinsuke Nakamura for AEW. Their version of it, it's not good. The title needs to come off of Okada personally. I'm just not a big fan of the way they're presenting him as a whole. Another thing that I wasn't really happy with was the women's division. So far, if they have Marina Shirakawa winning because they just signed her, what are they going to do with her going forward in the future? Are they going to have her beat Toni Storm at Double or Nothing this Sunday? What are you going to do going forward? That's going to be the question, because you kind of pigeonholed yourself. You kind of you're playing 40 checkers here with her. First you screw up her music. Now you're going to have her win the title. Does she hold it for a month? And then we get Jamie Hayter winning because it looks like that's what they're heading for. And then, poor Jamie Hayter, do you have her lose at All In Texas? I mean, that's where you're kind of heading. You kind of pigeonholed yourself, because articles are out that Tony Khan's high up on Marina Shirakawa and wants to push her to the moon and back, kind of like he did Sheeta. Why don't you bring back Sheeta? Why don't you bring back some talent that's worth a damn? You know what I mean? That's all I'm really saying here about that. I think Marina Shirakawa is a great talent, but I think we're pushing her way too soon, way too fast. That's my personal opinion. Getting back to it, Speedball deserves where he's heading. He's been winning a shit ton. He should be set up for the future with AEW. He should be a big key feature of AEW. Ricochet beating Anthony Bowens. Again, you got to give Ricochet some momentum going into the stretcher match. And then they featured Mark Briscoe behind it. Okay, cool. Again, Ricochet's doing the best work of his career right now. I mean, hands down, what he's doing on Twitter, he's living the character 24/7. Another thing that I had a downside on is MJF. Look, MJF, in the end of the day, I love MJF, but the Hurt Syndicate does not fit him. He's probably going to get fucked over eventually. They're going to bring Cedric Alexander to replace him, which I'm okay with. But I think Cedric will be the answer coming soon, full circle, full stop. The contract signing and stuff was ridiculous. I thought they were going to throw him through a table and bring Cedric Alexander in anyway. They need Cedric Alexander, honestly. And I think Cedric Alexander would be good for that TNT television title. I think it'd be perfect there. I think you could pencil Cedric over at Ring of Honor to win the pure title, the television title. I think Cedric was going to have a really good career in AEW coming full stop, full forward if they do sign him. They've been high up on him for a while. Again, the women's division stuff, again, I'm happy to see Julia Hart and Sky Blue back together, but I think Sky Blue's the better talent. And I think when they first ran this little group, I felt that Julia Hart was outshining Sky Blue when Sky Blue was the better talent then. I feel the same way now. What are they going to do? Throw them back on Ring of Honor? This is the thing about the women's division in AEW. It's kind of hokey pokey to me. So hopefully they get on the right path. Willow Nightingale did re-sign with AEW, which is a good thing. And that's why you're seeing her being prominently pushed in that Anarchy match. That's why you saw her there. Again, they're doing the right thing. They're listening to the fans. Willow Nightingale is a centerpiece of that women's division. One of the OGs. You keep her going and keep her signed. I didn't think she was going to go to WWE. WWE has a stacked lineup of women's talent. They don't need Willow Nightingale. I honestly don't think they need Mariah May. And I was saying in my prior video that I record now is out in the ether somewhere in the Deleteville. But I said, wouldn't it be something if Mariah May shows up and screws over Marina Shirakawa? What happens if they do that? They bring in her, get her featured into a centerpiece against Mariah May. You know what I mean? Marina Shirakawa and Maya May, they finish that story. Or they bring in Tatanka. How about they do that, Tatanka or Tatanka? They bring her in because she's now officially signed with AEW, and they have her fuck over Marina Shirakawa. I just don't want Marina Shirakawa on Sunday winning the belt. That's just my personal opinion. I don't want to see her winning the belt. I want to see her mellow jello for a while. Let's just put it that way. Let her be part of the roster. Let her have some matches. Let's just not rush into this. You know what I mean? So that's my personal opinion. Again, the tag team titles on Dynamite, honestly, the Hurt Business, I like them, or the Hurt Syndicate, I should say. Love them, but I think it's time for Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley to go into a singles run. I think Bobby should be in that main title picture or All-Atlantic picture, and Shelton should be over for the TNT title. I think that's, or vice versa. Or put him on Ring of Honor, have him win the belts there. Again, like I said, I'm happy that AEW is not pushing Chris Jericho's narratives. I heard Chris Jericho may have one last match, and then he may take a hiatus away from wrestling, supposedly go back to WWE, which I'd be fine with. Chris Jericho's been a hypocrite all these years. He goes where the money's at. I think he's going to be going and trying to do another WWE run, which his AEW towards the end has not been good. So I'm happy that we don't get to see Chris Jericho. When you see Chris Jericho on TV, it kind of slows down the product a little bit to me on TV. The camera angles were good for the TV stuff last night. Lots of things were good about AEW last night. There was a lot of downside, though. This is things that they need to work out. Like, for instance, did Anthony Bowens need to eat a pin from Ricochet? That's one thing I don't understand about that. If you're going to push Anthony Bowens as a top face, then you got to push him as a top face. You know what I mean? If you're going to push these people to certain spots, then you got to do the things. Anarchy in the Arena, they kind of pushed that narrative kind of outshined kind of the main event thing that they're doing with Adam Page and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay and Adam Page, look, love both of them, hate both of them. Cut promos of the year. I'm going to say outstanding. Will Ospreay, I don't know what WWE did not see in him, but he cuts promos. Like, really good promos. And cowboy shit, Adam Page cuts really good promos when it matters. I don't know what CM Punk was saying about him. I don't see it. They both were cutting A++ promos. Honestly, to kick off the show, it was lit. The crowd was into it for most of it. The six-man tag, they were into it. You have FTR talking about a contract signing with a match that's not going to matter at Double or Nothing, to be honest. I even think the Sons of Texas match with the Hurt Syndicate's not going to matter because they keep having the Hurt Syndicate destroy said competition. So there you go. But yeah, this is where we're at with AEW. The women's stuff needs to get better. Okada needs to get better. Overall, they need to repackage him. Maybe give him some better music. Maybe do something. Maybe make him cool. But Okada can cut promos. Okada can speak English. I don't know why we're treating him. And please, for the love of God, can we bring in Sheeta? Can we bring in we need to bring back some of these pillars and start having a women's division. And I feel like needs to be a brand split where they have titles on each product because I feel like since they don't, it's hurting certain talents. Now, I did like the fact that they featured Will Hobbs tonight. Will Hobbs is getting a big kind of a push centerpiece with Samoa Joe and the Ops, which is great. I don't know if Hook is legitimately injured. Please bring Hook back. Maybe give him a TNT run. Maybe do something with him because I think if they did it right, I think AEW could present him better than what they have. But if he does go to WWE, I wouldn't be mad over that either. He's teased about that. Now, Darby Allin, you got Darby Allin coming back. He was supposed to be the centerpiece of taking the belt off of Moxley, and I really think it's going to be Will Ospreay at this point. Will Ospreay has to be the guy at this point. They've been pushing big time and real hard on that one. So, just my personal opinion on AEW for the week. I'm just saying, I enjoy AEW. I'm not a shill. I'm going to be covering WWE stuff. I love how all the bootlickers of WWE and these bootlickers that don't like me all want to sit here and say that I shill for AEW. I give AEW great scores across the board. And Tony Khan don't pay shit for me. Triple H don't pay shit on this channel. I give my raw and uncut and unbiased. And yes, and I've said it, I think $40,000 seats is not it, Chief. I think $5,000 seats at an arena ain't it, Chief. And I think TKO's lost their goddamn minds. I think UFC and WWE and all the people there that are sitting here going, we can milk our fans. Yeah, your fans are moving over to other products that are cheaper. That's why TNA is growing, and that's why AEW is kind of resurging, because they're not charging hundreds of dollars to be in the arena, okay, or thousands. And then turning around saying fans are going to just take that. To go meet your favorite wrestler, you got to go pay almost car prices, okay? Just saying. And I know a lot of fanboys and fangirls and those bootlickers of WWE don't want to fucking hear that. Anyway, my name is RevSauce9. I will see you guys in the next video. This show was a 8.0 for me. It was a B+ effort, a B-, B+. Wasn't bad, wasn't terrible. What did I miss? Oh, Paragon. They had a little bit of a Paragon thing. Undisputed Era, Undisputed Kingdom, now Paragon. I don't get it, but I understand it. Paragon, whatever. You know what I mean? No Adam Cole sighting. I don't get that. TNT Championship belt should be prominent on Double or Nothing. It should be one of the champion. Pretty much this should be your Royal Rumble leading into All In Texas. I just don't get that. Maybe they need to reevaluate their pay-per-views, but honestly, a brand split should happen. I am starting to agree with a lot of people. A brand split would be perfect for AEW in a lot of ways, and it would fix a lot of the problems. Like, for instance, you can have maybe a TBS Championship heavyweight belt over on Collision. Then you can have your TBS Women's Championship, and then maybe you could have like a TBS Men's belt. So you can have all TBS all day on one show, with maybe you can have the Continental belt over on one side. Then you can have the All Atlantic and the TNT belt, and you can have it being featured. Like, I don't understand what Tony Khan's thinking, because it's turning the product. Certain wrestlers are not getting featured, which I think if they opened up all three shows and then found a home for Ring of Honor and did a brand split, instead of saying one's NXT, one's this, and just have three as major brands, and then feature each and every one of them on, different pay-per-views here and there, I think it would go well, way, way better. You know what I mean? Way, way, way better, and it would work out better. You're seeing it with the women's division. You're seeing it with the men's division. They got too much people going into that main event pile, and I think personally they need to do better and how they present and how they book things. You know what I mean? These are things that AEW, but I feel the same way about WWE with the repetitive booking and the repetitive stuff and things like that, and wrestlers not being shined. But I do see Shayna Baszler coming in eventually and being part of the Death Riders. I do see certain talents coming into AEW like Dakota Kai. I could see, Eva Black, formerly known as Cora Jade. I could see her in AEW. There is just a lot of talent that I could see coming through. What are you going to do with them? That's the thing. You need to release people and give people the freedom and bring in new people. And if you're going to build these guys up and top stars and you're going to bring Edge back, you need to have a brand split. I think Tony Khan needs to start brand splitting his products and getting a home for Ring of Honor. I think Amazon would be perfect for that, since they have a pay-per-view deal. I think Amazon per week, maybe a 2-hour show, they can record it and put it on Amazon Prime. They could do a test run. It would be nothing for Amazon to buy it. They could present it to Amazon. For instance, they could just call it Ring of Honor Shockwave. Honestly, they could. They could call it weekly, Ring of Honor Shockwave, call it a fucking day, and be done with it. I honestly think a brand split between 3 of their major promotions, stop the floundering between products, have people go for titles, make things perfect. You can have 3 different writing teams for 3 different products, and then bring back AEW Dark, or call it AEW something, or they can call it like Thunder or whatever they want to call it, whatever, right? And that could be where people that you don't really see on the main shows featured there, and you could possibly have that still on YouTube, or you could also have that as far as Amazon goes. You can have it weekly recorded. Personal opinion. I think AEW needs to change in a lot of aspects. And you're starting to see the bloat. Like, they keep signing people, and they're like, right off the rip, Marina Shirakawa should not be going for a title right off the rip. She should have a build-up. I agree there. She's hot shit. I agree. But again, you gotta build her up. Okada, the title's been non-existing. And I personally think if it's non-existing, then you got to do better. You got to build them better. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's my personal opinion on Dynamite. I think Double or Nothing is going to be good. I do want to see Speedball beat Okada because Okada's going nowhere, and I think they just need to take him off TV and rebuild him. Another thing, I do hope to see, I do want the tag team belts to come off of the Hurt Syndicate, but I don't think it's going to. Will Ospreay, I got him winning. I like Adam Page a lot. I think what he's doing in the last 2 years, fantastic work. They're finally putting stuff behind him. But I think Adam Page can go down to the Continental side of things or the TNT Championship side of things. And they can make that mid-card space feel like top tier. You got too many main eventers going for the title. Same with the women's division. I think Monet is holding back that division. I think they should get the belts off of her now. She's had plenty of time with the belt. What you can have her do is go into Ring of Honor and face Athena and beat Athena. And then what you do with Athena, because Athena's won everything, right? You can have Mercedes Moné introduce her own belt or bring back the original Ring of Honor belt. And you can have Athena go up to the main roster of Dynamite for a while and succeed. I like Mercedes Moné, don't get me wrong, but I think she's had too much time in the main event scene and had all the belts. And I think personally, if you're going to do this properly, then you would have her go over to Ring of Honor and win. Kind of like what Chris Jericho did, build that brand up a little bit. But I think a 3-way brand split should happen. I think there should be general managers of some sort on each product. I think they need to get the commentator booth properly fixed. I'm tired of them switching with Ikebani, and then you have Caprice Coleman on one, then you have this one on this one, then you have Nigel McGuinness on one. It's just like, look, Excalibur looks like he's the mainstay. Put Excalibur, and I would say Caprice Coleman and Ikebani. That should be your, literally, no joke, your Dynamite. Then your Collision should be your B show, right? I would have that be Tony Schiavone. I would have that Nigel McGuinness. And then what I would honestly do is I would bring in somebody like a Josh Matthews, and I'd put Josh Matthews in the middle. Then on your Ring of Honor, you could keep Caprice Coleman there. You could probably go with a Tony, probably Nigel McGuinness, and then you could put Josh Matthews there. You could do the same spinoff. They need to bring in somebody, and I've said this. Mario Ronaldo would be perfect in that situation. I think AEW needs to shake up their stuff. I think a Josh Matthews and a Mario Ronaldo would be sweet. I think they could bring in some people. I think the announcer for New Japan, who they could bring in Velveeta Scott, Mike Bailey's girlfriend. I think they could do a lot with her for the women's stuff. Just personally, my opinion, take it or leave it. I have a lot of thoughts on AEW when it comes to things. Same with WWE and how I feel about the progression of products. But anyway, my name's RevSauce9. Again, this show was a B++ for me. This week it was a good show. It wasn't terrible, but there's some things they need to work on to be better. Anyway, my name's Rev Sauce. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.